Welcome back to Crime Facts, the channel where we bring you real-life crime stories, investigations, and verdicts that have shaken communities to their core. Today's case is one of betrayal, unimaginable cruelty, and the tragic loss of a young life. This is the story of Johnathan Quiles, a man who was recently found guilty of the murder of his pregnant 16-year-old niece, Iyana Sawyer, in a crime that has left many questioning how such darkness can exist within a family.
Iyana Sawyer was a bright young teenager with her whole future ahead of her. She attended Terry Parker High School, and she was expecting a child. But what made this situation even more disturbing was that the man accused, and now convicted, of her murder was not only her uncle by marriage, but also the alleged father of her unborn child. It all began on December 19, 2018. Iyana was last seen on surveillance footage leaving Terry Parker High School. After that, she vanished without a trace. What should have been a typical day for a high school student turned into a nightmare that has haunted her family ever since. She was 5 months pregnant at the time, and the events that unfolded next would reveal a horrifying story of betrayal, manipulation, and murder. As the days turned into weeks, the search for Iyana intensified. Her family, friends, and the Jacksonville community prayed for her safe return. But deep down, many feared the worst. With every passing day, the mystery surrounding her disappearance only grew darker.
From the very beginning, suspicion fell on Iyana's uncle, Johnathan Quiles. Quiles worked at a salvage yard called Ace Pick Apart, and it was there, prosecutors would later argue, that Iyana's life was cruelly cut short. The state alleged that Quiles had been having a sexual relationship with his niece, and that the child she was carrying was his. But what could drive a man to such evil? Prosecutors argued that Quiles wanted to get rid of Iyana to hide the pregnancy. He feared that the birth of this child would expose his dark secret and ruin his life. And so, instead of facing the consequences of his actions, he made the devastating decision to end the life of both his niece and her unborn baby. Johnathan Quiles didn't testify in his defense, but the evidence spoke volumes. During the trial, it was revealed that he had allegedly planned the murder for months, carefully constructing a story of lies to cover up his horrific crime. According to Quiles' brother Joseph Quiles, who took the stand during the trial, Johnathan had confessed to the killing in chilling detail. The prosecution's case was built on a mountain of evidence and testimonies that painted a grim picture of what happened to Iyana on that fateful day in December. According to testimony from Joseph Quiles, Johnathan had lured Iyana to his workplace, promising that they would run away together. But instead of love and safety, Iyana was met with violence and betrayal.
Joseph testified that Johnathan had told him how he had tried to strangle Iyana, but when he couldn't go through with it, he shot her in the chest instead. He then wrapped her body in a carpet and disposed of it in a dumpster, knowing that it would soon be emptied at a landfill. The details of the murder were not only disturbing, but also meticulously calculated. According to Johnathan Quiles' own words, she just went into a bag, several bags just folded her. Her body went into a dumpster. I'm hoping the holiday and the rain will help at the landfill. The trial was filled with emotional moments as witness after witness took the stand, revealing the heartbreaking details of Iyana's final moments. The most chilling pieces of evidence came from the text messages and Snapchat conversations between Quiles and Iyana. These messages showed a disturbing pattern of manipulation, obsession, and threats. In one message, Quiles wrote, "I'll kill you and cry." Another message read, "You're stuck with me until you die. I love you way too much to let you go." These were not the words of an uncle protecting his niece. These were the words of a predator, a man who had taken control of a young girl's life and destroyed it when he feared his secret would be exposed. But as overwhelming as the evidence seemed, Quiles' defense team fought hard to cast doubt on the prosecution's case. Their strategy was to question everything, from the credibility of the witnesses to the validity of the evidence itself. One of the defense's main arguments was that Iyana's body was never found. How could the state prove murder beyond a reasonable doubt without a body?
They also argued that there was no concrete DNA evidence linking Quiles to the murder and questioned the paternity of the unborn child, suggesting that someone else could have been the father. In a dramatic twist, the defense even called a witness who claimed to have seen Iyana walking down a street after she had supposedly disappeared. But the prosecution quickly dismantled this testimony, proving that the witness had gotten the dates wrong. Among the most crucial testimonies came from Quiles' own brother, Joseph, and an inmate who had shared a cell with Quiles. Both of these witnesses provided damning accounts of conversations they had with Quiles, where he admitted to the crime. The inmate testified that Quiles had confided in him, explaining how he had gotten his niece pregnant and how he had killed her to avoid the fallout. According to the inmate, Quiles said he tried to strangle her, but ended up shooting her, and then called his brother right after. Joseph Quiles, in a heartbreaking moment on the stand, shared a text message he had sent to Johnathan after learning about Iyana's disappearance. The message read, "I'm sorry I have to do the right thing for that girl and her family, not the right thing for you and your selfishness. I hate to lose you, but I'd rather that girl's family have some peace." Iyana's family also took the stand, each one painting a picture of a young girl who had been manipulated and abused by her uncle. Iyana's sister testified about the inappropriate relationship between Quiles and her sister, recounting how she had witnessed the two together in ways that no niece and uncle should ever be. But perhaps the most heartbreaking testimony came from Iyana's mother, Kimberly Mobley. She described the pain of learning that her daughter was pregnant, only to find out later that the man responsible was her own brother-in-law. The jury was also shown surveillance footage from Ace Pick-a-Part, which contradicted Quiles' claims about his whereabouts on the day Iyana disappeared. The footage showed his red minivan leaving the lot during work hours, even though he had not clocked out. This was around the same time that Iyana was last seen leaving her high school. The prosecution argued that this was the moment Quiles lured Iyana to his workplace, where he carried out his plan to kill her. After 6 days of emotional testimony and overwhelming evidence, it took the jury only about an hour to reach their verdict. Johnathan Quiles was found guilty of first-degree murder, sexual battery, and the first-degree murder of Iyana's unborn child. The jury saw through the defense's attempts to cast doubt on the prosecution's case and delivered justice for Iyana and her family. But the case isn't over yet. The state is seeking the death penalty for Quiles, and the jury will reconvene to decide whether he will face the ultimate punishment for his crimes.
Iyana Sawyer's story is one of tragedy and heartbreak. A young girl, full of potential, had her life stolen from her by someone who should have protected her. The case has left a deep scar on her family and her community, and while the verdict provides some measure of justice, it cannot bring Iyana back. As we await the final decision on Quiles' fate, we ask that you keep Iyana's family in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you for watching Crime Facts, where we bring you the real stories behind the headlines. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on true crime cases. And remember, stay safe, stay aware, and take care of each other.